Hello, everybody. Welcome to this training. I'm just going to give everybody a few minutes to come on. We are talking today all about macros. I love talking about macros, and we're specifically going to be talking about why balancing your macros is more effective than counting calories for optimal health, fitness building, and fat loss as a female runner over the age of 35. Okay, so if you are listening, welcome. Let me know where you're from. If you're catching this on the replay, pop a comment below. Let me know where you're from. And we are going to dive in because I have got a lot that we are going to talk about today. If you have a notebook, I recommend getting a notebook or a piece of paper or something to take some notes. There's going to be a lot of content in this video, okay? And you're going to want to take notes, and if you have questions, you can ask them later as well. So, macros. We are going to talk about the number one misconception about nutrition and health when it comes to fat loss and fitness building and optimal health for specifically female runners over 35, and why this number one misconception is holding you back from building a body that is like as healthy and strong and energized and that is burning fat the way that you want it to. Because I know that you guys are training hard out there. I know that. And I want you getting the best results from your training. And we got to talk about nutrition, and we're going to break through that misconception. We're going to talk about the reason why eating only clean foods isn't quite enough for optimal health and fat loss, okay? A lot of women come to me saying, Carrie, I'm running a lot, I'm eating clean, but I'm not getting results. I'm not losing this belly fat. In fact, it's getting worse. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about why balancing macronutrients is better and more effective than counting calories and the missing ingredient for your body's optimal fat burning potential. We are going to talk about why following the wrong macros and doing it the complicated way is going to damage your metabolism in the long run, okay? And how it's going to wreak havoc on your hormones and ramp up inflammation in your body, all of which will hold you back from building a really healthy, strong, optimized body that is feeling and looking good, that is burning fat, okay? And we're going to talk about how to eat the right foods in the right macro balance at the right time so that you can optimize your health, your fitness, and your body's natural fat burning potential over the age of 35 as a woman, because we are different. We are different than men, and we are different than when we were in our 20s, right? Like, I mean, you guys know, like, things don't work the same. You know, the things we used to eat and the way we used to train doesn't get us the same results now. And often we say it's because we're getting older and it's because of age, and the truth is it's not. But it is, but it's not. We just need to tweak. We need to tweak our training, and we need to really dial in our nutrition with a lot more intention and strategy. And that does not mean restricting and cutting and counting, and it doesn't have to be complicated, but we do have to understand nutrition. We have to understand hormones. We have to understand metabolism. We have to understand how to eat so that we are working with our female physiology and not against it. And that's what we're going to talk about on this session today. So that is awesome. And again, if you guys are just tuning in, let me know below where you're from. Actually, I have to open my computer because I'm not getting the comments on my phone where I'm doing this from. So I'm going to just hop on my computer and make sure that I'm catching these comments. So make sure that you guys are hitting those like and those love buttons when something like rings for you and you're like, yes, thank you for telling me this is awesome, or like anything, and comment below and I'll answer the questions as I go through, or I'll scroll through them later. But I gotta get on my page here on my computer so that I can see stuff coming through. All right, so the number one misconception that's really holding you back from getting all the results you want, you guys, is that eating less and running more. Can you hear that? It's thundering today in Costa Rica. I live in Costa Rica, you guys. I'm a Canadian girl. and we moved to Costa Rica 5 years ago now. And there's thunder today. It never rains all day, but today there's thunder and it's beautiful. But so the number one misconception out there is that we need to run more miles and eat less food to get fit and strong and healthy. And I know when we're feeling like, oh, my body is gaining weight and I'm not feeling very well and I need to get my nutrition under control, what we tend to do as women is cut calories and run more miles as runners. And what that does is it causes inflammation in our body, not eating enough, simply cutting all the calories without replacing those calories with the right foods, just blanket cutting. And I mean, someone just messaged me yesterday and said, my doctor told me to just go on a 900 calorie diet and I would lose weight. And she's like, I'm not losing weight and I'm feeling awful. Because simply cutting calories leaves you undernourished. When you're undernourished, when you're not eating enough calories to even sustain your body's everyday processes, you downgrade your metabolism, you ramp up inflammation in your body because that's a stress on your body. That wreaks havoc on your hormones. Your body as a woman will hold on to fat. It will gain fat, okay? And we don't want that. It's not about eating less, it's about eating better. And as a runner, when you cut calories, you're running hard, you're training hard, and you're hardly eating, 900, 1,200 calories is not enough for a runner. And when you're cutting calories, and all the fad diets are telling you guys to fast and cut and eat less and run a calorie deficit, you're undernourished. And you're inflamed. And your hormones are a mess. Because fat loss is it's not about running more and eating less. It's about building lean muscle. Lean muscle is metabolically very active. It's really important. Running doesn't do that. That's a topic for another discussion, but you want to be training to build lean muscle. But fat loss is actually, it requires a balance of your hormones, of your fat storing, your stress, and your hunger hormones. And when your hormones are out of balance and your body is inflamed from running a lot and all the stress of life and then not eating, and then maybe even when you're not eating very much, then we're eating processed foods and sugary foods and junk foods because we're binging at night because we're starving. We're an inflamed, hot, hormonal mess. And so our bodies hold weight and we're tired and we're grouchy and we're irritable and our skin hurts and we have bad periods and our hair is falling out. We have a brain fog, we get headaches, our runs are hard, we have no energy. Those are all signs that you are you're struggling with your hormones. Your metabolism is downgraded. You're probably hot and inflamed, okay? So fat loss is all about hormones, balancing them and building muscle. So it's not about eating less and running more. It's about training strong and eating right. The right foods in the right balance for the right reasons at the right times. Right? That's what we're going to talk about. So that's the number one misconception. And I've been in practice, you guys, for over 15 years now. And I know that women think they're eating too much and they're overeating. And for the most common thing that I see, and I see it in so many women, and I've struggled with it, is undereating. And when we're under-eating, we're malnourished and our body can't work. And I used to do that. I used to run a lot and hardly eat. I'd skip breakfast. I'd be too busy during the day to eat. I'd be grazing and I was completely undernourished. I used to have eczema all over my body. My muscles all disappeared and I was running and running and running. I was sick all the time. I was moody. I was irritable. I was energy crashing. I was sugar craving. I was binge eating at night. My hair was falling out. When you're healthy and you're eating right and you're training right, you should feel good. You shouldn't feel broken down. Okay, if you feel broken down, if you feel like a truck hit you, we got work to do together, okay? That's what I teach women how to do in my muscles and macros training program. We don't eat less. I don't tell you to cut foods and restrict. That's also a very heavy and negative thing. Your body is not a bank account. It's not as simple as calories in versus calories out. So if I want to lose weight, I'll just stop eating. I'll just eat less. Your body doesn't work that way because of your hormones. Your body is more like a chemistry lab. And we got to figure out how to put together the right pieces in the beaker to make it work properly. Because when you do, everything comes together and you have energy and your running gets stronger and your body starts burning fat and you sleep better and your skin clears up and all these magical things happen when you learn to nourish your body, not simply eat less. Anybody who tells you to simply eat less or tells you to cut out an entire macronutrient group does not know what they're talking about. And they're also, any diet that tells you to blanketly restrict and any diet that tells you to cut out an entire macronutrient group is never gonna work. Okay, we're gonna talk about why as we keep going. So stay with me, all right? Actually, I'll close my computer. So that's number one thing, right? Under eating, eating out of balance, cutting entire macronutrients, especially as a runner, because we tend to follow all these fad diets, or people are feeding us all this fad diet information and we're not eating enough, and then we're running and we're training on top of it, and what that does to us is it increases cortisol in our body. That's our body's stress hormone, okay? And then we're under eating and then we're stressed all the time, and we've got this chronic high cortisol, which throws off our insulin. Our insulin, our body's fat storing hormone, is high all the time. That leaves us with unbalanced blood sugars. We end up on this blood sugar roller coaster, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But this is what happens when we're stressed and we're overtraining and under eating. And all that cortisol and all that insulin and all those unbalanced blood sugars that nobody else is talking about in these fad diets is messing with your hunger hormones, which are ghrelin and leptin. Okay? So insulin's off, cortisol's off, ghrelin and leptin, your body's hunger hormones are off. And you're left as an inflamed, hot, inflammatory mess that is exhausted, is craving sugar, holding fat, feeling terrible, right? And we don't want that, because when we're a hot, inflamed hormonal mess, we're storing belly fat, and it's hurting our performance and it's hurting our health more than anything, our long-term health. Okay, we got to think long-term health, you guys. I'm here to help you guys really focus on your long-term health, okay? Not just the immediate today, what I need to do to drop a pound or two right now, okay? No, long-term health. Because when we fuel this machine right, remember, you are a chemistry lab, okay? And I've got the recipes for you, okay? So, like I said at the beginning, a lot of people will come to me and say, but Carrie, I'm training a lot and I'm eating clean. I'm eating healthy. I think I'm eating enough, but I'm still holding all this weight and it's not going away. And the problem with that is that often, again, muscle's very important. We've got to be training strong, not just running long when we want optimal health, when we want fitness building, we want fat loss. And when we want to build that toned, lean body, running, it's just not the right exercise to build lean muscle. It's great for emotional health. It's great for cardiovascular health. It's great for bone health. It's not going to build muscle. All the running in the world won't build that lean muscle. So you can be running a lot and eating clean, but if you're not building that lean muscle, you're still going to struggle. And then oftentimes you're running a lot and eating clean, but you're not eating the right foods in the right macro balance for the right times, and you're probably still not eating enough. And so you're not getting the results you want. And so it's not just as simple as eating clean. And I see a lot of people say, Carrie, I went plant-based and I still feel these ways. I still am holding on to this weight. Why is this happening? I'm eating clean. And I said, I know, but we got to dial in your macro balancing, because it's not enough. And it's wonderful to be plant-based and it's wonderful to be eating clean. Those are very important things. But we've got to be also thinking about the type of workouts we're doing when we want to burn fat, because we need muscle. We need to be doing strength workouts. We need to be doing burst workouts. We need to be thinking stronger, not simply longer and more miles. and we've got to be dialing in our macros. We've got to be eating enough in balance, the right times for the right reasons, okay? So that's why that's happening. So what, you guys, are macros? Okay, so let's dive into what are macros. Some of you might not know what macros are, and that is completely okay, because I never used to know what macros were, and I'd hear the term, and I was like, I gotta learn about macros. And a lot of people come to me and say, I don't know anything about macros. What are they? They are fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. It's like really as simple as that. Macros are the food you eat, and all the food we eat is grouped into one of those categories. And our body needs all of the macronutrients to do the work that it needs to do, the work that it's designed to do, okay? All of those macronutrients are critical for exercise, recovery, hormone balancing, hormone production, health, and lasting fat loss, okay? We need all the macronutrients. To lose weight, we've got to really focus on nourishing that body, balancing those hormones, reducing that inflammation, and triggering our fat burning hormones, okay? And so that's what we're going to talk about. So carbohydrates, really in fed to eat low carbohydrates or to cut carbohydrates out. For women, for everybody, carbohydrates are important. For women specifically, they're very, very important because of hormone production. Our carbs naturally balance insulin, leptin, ghrelin, our fat storing and hunger hormones. They are required to build and maintain healthy hormones. They give us energy, okay? During our exercise, they fuel our brain and our central nervous system. That's why women who cut carbs, they get headaches and brain fog, or when we're not eating enough carbs, we've got that brain fog and we're irritable because we're not fueling our body enough. They're very important. They're needed for thyroid and reproductive hormones, which are very important for us. So, thyroid issues and adrenal issues are a massive problem for women over 35 right now, massively. Stress is massively ramped up. And when we're trying fad diets and undernourishing our bodies, we put a lot of stress on our adrenals and our thyroid. And we need carbohydrates to get those systems working. And I'm not talking about so carbohydrates can be carrots and apples and bananas and quinoa and whole grain breads and whole grain rice, and that's all carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables. Carbohydrates, the real problem with carbohydrates is the processed carbohydrates, the cookies, the chips, the pretzels, the donuts. Those are the carbohydrates that tend to be really high in sugar and absolutely nutrient empty. And so when people are saying, gotta cut the carbs, it's all carbs, it's like, no. Those are very different carbs, right? Fruits and vegetables and whole grains are very good and nourishing for your body. These foods over here, the pastries and the heavy on the sugar, nutrient empty carbohydrates are the problem. But what people have done is gone and said all carbohydrates are bad, so you shouldn't eat carbohydrates. And that's not accurate, and it's harming your body, okay? We need carbohydrates. Low carbohydrate eating over the long term, and yes, maybe it helps somebody in the short term, but over the long term of your life, because remember, I'm here to help you guys think about long-term health. It elevates cortisol. It triggers muscle catabolism, which is it breaks down muscle. It eats through your muscle for fuel, right? We want muscle, remember? Muscle ramps up our metabolism. It gives us those sexy lean arms and strong runner's legs. They're going to help you push those miles and stay injury-free. It harms protein synthesis, so you can be training hard, but you're not able to build muscle when you're not eating carbohydrates in the macro balancing medley that I'm going to teach you, okay? You're eating through your muscle, you're not making more, and carbohydrates are really important. Proteins. My favorite macronutrient are proteins. Proteins are awesome. And a lot of women are not eating enough protein. I used to go to the restaurants, I used to go out for dinner and I'd have salad, dressing on the side, no protein. And then I'd put like a little bit of the dressing, right? So that happens. We need protein, ladies. A lot of protein as active female runners, right? Protein makes muscle, maintains muscle. Protein helps balance blood sugars. It revs metabolism every time you eat it. It helps you feel fuller longer, okay? Keeps your body feeling full after you eat. When you're just grazing carbohydrates, we're gonna talk about this in a bit, but just grazing carbohydrates puts you on this blood sugar like roller coaster, and you're like, you eat and you feel so full from all those carbohydrates, you're missing the proteins and the fats in that, and then you're hungry again, and then you're just always like eating carbohydrates all the time. You're hungry. Like, it doesn't keep you full long. So we'll talk a bit about more of that later. But protein's great for recovery from intense exercise. It's a major player in immunity, hormones, energy, sleep, digestion, and ovulation. We need protein. And again, like I said, many, many women are not eating enough protein, okay? And that's one of the problems when we go plant-based and we're eating all plants without understanding proteins and how to bring in plant-based proteins. The nutrition coach with Running Moms for the Muscles and Macros training program is a plant-based runner. So she really helps the ladies in that program make sure they're eating enough protein from the plant-based side. We also talk about animal proteins as well, because I eat animal proteins and a lot of people do. But just to let you know that in that program, we can help you make sure that you're dialing in your protein so that you're hitting those protein goals, okay? And a quick tip about protein is that starting the day with a healthy dose of protein will put you in a healthier state right away, because when you wake up, your body's in a catabolic state. It's in a muscle breakdown state after you've slept and fasted all night long. When you're building muscle, you'll be hungry in the morning, so you should be eating within a few hours of waking up, but not just rolling through the Tim Hortons, if you're from Canada, and grabbing a muffin, okay? It's protein that we need in the morning. Stop that muscle, fuel that muscle before our body hits that muscle to break it down. We don't want to lose muscle. Muscle is gold. We want to train for it. We want to feed it and fuel it so we don't lose it. So starting the morning with a dose of protein will restock your stores, help you regulate your appetite for the day, and actually when you start the day with a solid, balanced breakfast, including a high-quality protein, it'll help your appetite and help you make better choices throughout the rest of the day. When I first started balancing my macros and trying these strategies out, I started eating breakfast, a macro-balanced breakfast, because that's what I used to do. I used to skip breakfast, and I'd roll into work, and I'd have some coffee with some low-fat creamer, flavored creamer, and then I'd probably end up binging on a muffin or something, or whatever treats happened to be in the office, because I was like dead starving and just with no willpower. My body was like, feed me, and then I just eat, and then I go on my grazing carbohydrate fest all day long without ever nourishing my body with that protein that it needed. When I started eating protein for breakfast, it almost changed everything for me, because I had more energy through the morning. I had more like focus in the morning. I was able to then make better choices, because the more that you restrict, the bigger the restriction, the bigger the binge, the less willpower is able to help you, because it's your hormones that are unbalanced and you just grab for anything. So breakfast is really key with some protein. There's a tip for you. And then the third macronutrient is fat. And I don't know about you guys, but I lived through the no fat days. There were years where I did not eat fat. I would have a piece of toast for breakfast, maybe put some jam on it, and I would have salad, dressing on the side, no protein. I don't even know what I ate for those years. And those were the years that I was covered in eczema. I was losing my muscle. I had no energy, and I was young back then. I was in university in the no fat years, so I can't even imagine how I would have felt if I was in my 40s in the no fat years. Oh my God. And I'm super glad I'm not living the no carbohydrate diet, because that would be a real mess on my system, which is why I'm here to teach you guys. But fat is really important. And again, Fat gets a bad rap because there are bad fats, right? There are the cookies and the chips and the deep fried foods that are no good for our body, but there is a lot of really good fats for our body. Avocado oil, nuts and seeds, fish, really good, healthy, nourishing fats. And we can't just blanket that one macronutrient is all bad, because it's not, okay? Fat protects our inner organs. It allows estrogen to function properly. Estrogen is one of your sex hormones, very important. So that it allows you to have regular periods. It's important for immune health and nerve function. It makes food taste better. And when you eat it in balance with fats or with proteins and carbohydrates, it helps keep you full longer. When we're grazing on carbohydrates, low-fat snack packs, Diet Coke, coffee, we get hungry all the time. And so I remember I used to graze carbs all day long. My husband used to joke, and he said, there's like a mouse that lives in our house, because I would always be like ripping off pieces of bread and half a cookie here and eating the scraps off my kids' plates. It was tended to be like, yes, low-fat carbohydrates, low-fat foods, but by doing all that grazing off the top, I was never giving my body the fat, the protein, and the nourishment that it needed. And so I was getting all these empty calories off the top, but not giving my body what it needed. Does that make sense? Like, a lot of people I know are going to be like, that's what I do, right? Eating off the kids' plates. Like, I used to love when there was some jam left on the toast, because like I get to eat the crumbs. And then when you're doing that and you're eating like that, you also never allow your body to get hungry. You're burning sugar, you're a sugar burner, and you're always burning that sugar off the top, and you never get hungry. You never feel hungry, and then you never nourish yourself with proper meals. And this is what's happening, and I see it all the time, because what I see out there over my last 15 years of working with women in all walks of life, at all ages. Now I'm working with runners, mostly over the age of 35, but I've also worked in chronic care and hospital care and acute medicine and rehab and like joint replacements, and in so many of these people, women are always struggling with under eating. They're always struggling with nutrition, with the fad diets and the undernourishment, and it's always resulting in the same problem, like fat, belly fat, and frustration with their body. And I don't want you guys frustrated with your body forever. That's a shitty way to live. I want you guys nourishing and loving your body. And when you're nourishing and loving your body, it feels good. It shouldn't be a struggle, okay? What I see out there is women cutting. So they're either like cutting out carbohydrates, all of them. And like I said, long term, that's going to really affect your hormones. It's going to really affect your immune system. It's going to really affect your long-term health negatively. You're not going to be able to burn the fat that you want. You're going to lose muscle. I see them under-eating or overeating, but being undernourished, which is what I just talked about. Like, a lot of women worry about overeating, but they're actually not overeating. It's like they're just not eating the right things in the right balance at the right times. And so we're always taking bites and pieces, and what happens, like I said, you end up burning sugar because those carbohydrates all turn into sugar in your body, and your blood sugars ramp up, your insulin ramps up, and then it crashes, and you do this all day, and your body's just turning on fat storing. Okay, we never get hungry in between. We never allow our bodies to go for 4 to 6 hours between meals without eating because we're not hungry. And that's where we tap into fat stores. Okay? We're not doing that. That's what I see women doing. That's what I used to do. Undernourished, and then overeating, but still being undernourished because we're not eating the right things, right? And then I see people grazing all day on mostly carbohydrates because I'm a runner. And as runners, we get hungry. But when we're just eating and grazing all day on all the carbohydrates without thinking, and we're recovering with Oreos and chocolate milk and a bunch of other things that are all carbohydrates, and then we continue that between our runs, we are sugar burners. We're burning sugar all day. And we're not, that's raising our insulin levels, that's raising our cortisol levels. Running is already inflammatory and stressful in our body. And then we're not feeding it properly. We're feeding it with all those inflammatory foods and grazing on the carbs, not getting the protein, not getting the fats. We're just burning sugar off the top. right? Our hormones are a mess. We're inflamed. Our metabolism is going down because we're not training or eating right, and that puts us at risk for metabolic disease like diabetes, and it also triggers fat storage, especially around the midsection. Okay, I don't want you guys, and I see this. This was me. Like, I was an inflamed, hot, hormonal mess, and I had downgraded my metabolism. And all the signs of like being inflamed and being a hormonal mess and and having a downgraded metabolism are all kind of the same, and they all kind of go together because usually we're all doing the same things, and those are the three things that happen. And again, eczema, skin problems, exhausted, brain fog, headaches, waking up exhausted. Your runs are heavy, slow. You feel like lead. You can have joint pain. Your body is holding fat, especially around your midsection, even though you are running loads of miles. You probably feel really good during your run, but you feel terrible on the outside. You're irritable, easy to yell at your kids, right? You have bad periods, you're constipated. All of those things are signs that you're a hot, inflamed, hormonal mess, and your metabolism is downgraded because you're not eating enough fuel to give your body what it needs. You're either not eating enough or you're not eating enough of all of the macronutrients in balance. Because your body is a chemistry lab, not a bank account. I got that from JJ Virgin, and it's so amazing because everyone tells you it's just if you're not losing weight, it's just you need to run a bigger calorie deficit. You're eating too much. That's not true. That's not how your body works. Of course, you can't eat all the calories in the world, but when you start to eat your macros in balance for the right reasons at the right times, in the right portions, things get in balance. You don't have to count calories. So that's why I focus on balancing macros. What does it mean to balance your macros? If you guys, there's a bunch of you that are already in training with me, and you guys know I say this all the time. It's eating 3 meals per day, making sure you're combining, every time you eat those carbohydrates, you combine it with a healthy fat and a healthy protein. And then you snack in between those meals if you are hungry. And if you are hungry in between those meals and you go to have a snack, make sure that it's balanced. Because when we're just eating those carbohydrates alone, even if they're healthy and clean carbohydrates and they're from the earth, it's still, you're not getting the fat and protein that you need to keep your hormones balanced, to keep your blood sugars balanced. All about blood sugar balance. Remember, fat loss and fitness building and health is all about healthy hormones, supporting your metabolism, reducing inflammation. Okay? That's it. That's the strategy. 3 meals per day, snacks in between, if you're hungry for those snacks. So we've got to really tune into the hunger. That's a tricky part, right? Like, am I hungry in between my meal? Am I not hungry? And when we're looking at these diets that say simply stop eating, and when we've been cutting calories and following diets for some of us, some people who come to me, it's been decades, we've lost all trust in our body, and we've messed our hormones up so much that we're not even getting the hunger signals. Because remember what I told you, fat loss is about balancing your stress and your hunger hormones. Your hunger hormones, they're out of whack when you're not eating enough, when you're inflamed, when your blood sugars are a mess. Your hunger hormones are not doing what they're supposed to do. And so you don't even know when you're hungry. Some people never get hungry because their metabolism has slowed down that much that their body's like, nope, she's not going to feed me. I'm not going to even trigger hunger. I'm just going to hold everything. And that's what happens. You know, I used to go, God, I had such bad eating habits and such disordered relationship with food and my body and exercise, 10 years ago. And I used to go all day long and never eat. I would never get hungry. And I was like, I never get hungry. It was like a prize for me. It was like, I was so awesome because I never got hungry and I didn't need to eat. And it's like, now I eat so much because I've learned to eat in balance. I've reset my hormones. I've started eating better quality foods so that I'm reducing my inflammation. Also, by doing the right workouts, I'm reducing my inflammation. By building lean muscle and balancing my macros and reducing inflammation this way, I've ramped up my metabolism. I get hungry. I used to not get hungry. Then I had the kids and I was grazing on all the carbohydrates. And I was running a lot to try and get my body back and to try to build back my muscle, but I wasn't doing it right. And then I was hungry all the time because running ramps up cortisol and that makes you feel hungry. And so I was doing that and eating all the carbohydrates. And where was I going with that? And then I was always hungry all the time. I can't remember what I was doing with that, what I was going to say about that, but that wasn't good, right? And so that's why we focus on balance. Oh yeah, and then I was hungry all the time. But now that I've dialed in my macros and I've dialed in my training, I've reined back my miles because I'm focusing. My goal that I'm focusing on is not more miles blindly. My goal is a fit, strong, healthy, powerful, lean, pro-fat burning. That's what I want to build. My goals are fit, lean, strong, healthy, powerful, athletic, pro-fat burning, hormonally balanced body. That feels incredible. That is free from eczema. You guys would not even have recognized me. Like, I was covered in eczema. I felt toxic. I started developing food allergies. And it wasn't even food allergies, is that my body was just shutting down because I was an inflamed hormonal mess. And everything was triggering me, right? I have a glass of wine and my whole body would like, it wasn't that I was like really allergic to the wine, it's that my body was already inflamed, and you throw some red wine on there and boom, boom. Like my eyes swelled shut one Christmas. And I was like, oh my God, I'm allergic to wine. And it's like, no, Carrie, you weren't allergic to wine. You were a hot, hormonal, inflamed mess already. And that was just fuel on the fire, okay? So when you balance your macros, 3 meals per day, always balancing those carbohydrates, some fat and some protein, you're gonna stay full longer, you're gonna feel more satisfied, you're gonna have more energy, you're going to start to get hungry when you pair it with effective strength building workouts, muscle building workouts. You will start to get hungry and you will flip your body's fat burning switch. And I remember when I did that, I struggled for years under eating, and I struggled for years in that hot, inflamed, hormonally messy place of cravings and bad energy and all that. And I remember, again, like I said, I started eating breakfast, proper balanced breakfast. I actually was injured at the time, so I had to be doing strength workouts. I had to stop running because I couldn't. I was getting sick all the time. I was running and not sleeping. I was getting up at 4 a.m. and I busted my knee. And then when I did that, I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to get depressed and I'm going to gain all this weight, and I don't want either of those things. So I better figure something else out here, because the way that you're carrying on right now, Carrie, is not okay. And what I did was learned about nutrition. I tried some intermittent fasting. I tried a bunch of tracking apps. I tried buying shakes. I tried a bunch of things, and none of it was good. It all triggered more disordered eating and more stress, more anxiety, and it felt really hard. And I was like, it can't be this hard. It's just food. And so I learned about macros and I started eating in balance. And I was like, it didn't actually take that long. Like, I think it took me a few weeks where I started to feel massive differences in my body. And I think it was the combination of less running, more strength training, targeted strength training, and combining that with the proper food and nutrition for my body. And I just remember the transformation, like how that felt from the inside, which is why I'm obsessed about getting you guys all into my Muscles and Macros program to teach you this, to help you guys reset your metabolism, your hormones, and your inflammation, and get you building muscle and nourishing your body. Because I stopped craving. I started feeling full and satisfied. My energy went up. And I started to get hungry in a way that I hadn't felt hungry almost since I was a kid. Do you remember when you're a kid and you're like, Mom, I'm starving? I feel like that was yesterday. You'd be standing in the kitchen, your mom's like, no, you gotta wait till dinner's ready. You're like, but I'm starving. Like, I'm starving. That's how I feel now when I'm strength training and I'm dialing in my macros. I feel hungry, and that's very different than going the day without ever feeling hungry, and it's a very different feeling than the sugar craving, the carb craving. It's very different. And that's when I knew that all those years I had been doing it all wrong. I had been listening to all the wrong people, and I had been undernourished, basically malnourished for a very long time. It didn't take me super long to flip that switch, and it was because I did everything, and I started training to build that muscle, and I got super strong. And I'm fitter now at 42. Am I 42? No, I'm 41. At 41, I just yesterday set a 5K PR of 24:52. I've never broken the 25-minute mark for a 5K. and I feel incredible. Like, I have lasting energy all day long. I don't drink Diet Pepsi. I haven't drank it for years. I love coffee in the morning just because I love waking up to a cup of coffee. It's like a nice hug, but I don't rely on coffee to get me through the day. Okay, I get hungry, I eat, I balance. It's easy. And that's what I train you guys to do in Muscles and Macros. Learn how to balance those macros and dial in your strength training so that you can flip your body's metabolic switch, so you can reduce the inflammation, balance your hormones, and restore your metabolism so that you can have that fit, lean, strong, healthy, powerful, athletic, pro-fat burning body. And it feels good. It doesn't feel like a struggle. Okay? When you train with me, you don't get a list of foods that you should not eat, that you cannot eat. It is not restrictive like that. We follow a very serious 80-20 rule. There is room for treats, because remember what I said earlier. The more you restrict, the bigger you restrict, the bigger the binge will be. Because if I just decided I'm never going to have a drink again, like, I would quit for a couple weeks, and then you'd binge again. Then you'd feel bad, and you'd feel guilty, and you'd feel shameful. Same with the cookie, right? I can't eat any cookies. I don't eat any dairy. I don't do any of that. No, 80-20. Okay, there's room for treats when you're balancing your macros, okay? So why is balancing your macros better than tracking your macros or counting calories? This is really important because, a chocolate bar is 500 calories, and an apple with some almonds this is arbitrary. I don't know how many calories there are. Calories don't matter to me because your body's on a bank account, it's a chemistry lab. Those are very different. And when someone tells you to go and track your macros and you're really looking at the numbers and the percentages, you're not looking at the quality of the food. Okay, and I see people doing this all the time. Well, I didn't have breakfast, then I had a bagel for lunch, and then I had, this woman I met at a health conference. She wasn't a certified anything, but she'd put her dog on a ketogenic diet, and so it worked. And so she thought, well, if it worked for my dog, I'm going to do keto. And then she's like, oh, it's working for me. Now I'm going to teach everyone else to do keto. And so she's at lunch, eating her keto lunch, which was a piece of dark chocolate, like a big piece of dark chocolate, and some rolled up processed ham from the deli, okay? And she's telling me how awesome this is for her health, and she's hitting all her weight goals and stuff. And I'm over here. I had already gotten up at 6 and did my burst training session. I'd had a full breakfast. I'd had a cup of coffee because I love coffee. And I had had a snack in the mid-morning because when I train early, I get hungry in the mid-morning. So I nourished my hunger with a balanced snack. And then I was having lunch with this group, and I was having like a huge sandwich with grilled real chicken, whole grain bread, lettuce, tomatoes, carrots on the side. I had a big bowl of vegetable soup, and I think I had a peach. You cannot tell me that that is good for long-term health. Dark chocolate and rolled up processed ham. That is her keto that she's teaching other people, okay? And I was clearly way fitter than she was, right? Because we're runners. We're not just, I don't really know what that was. And like, those are the people that are teaching these other diets where you're trying to tell me that this plate of food is not healthy for me? Carbohydrates are bad? No, they're not when you eat them properly, okay? So that's why balancing is more important than simply counting calories, because you're just counting calories, even Weight Watchers and stuff, like you're just counting calories, right? I don't actually know Weight Watchers, I shouldn't have said that, I don't know, but oftentimes people are like, well, my doctor told me to do a 1,200 calorie diet, so I'm just counting all my calories. It doesn't tell you about the quality of those calories or the macronutrient content of that, and it also doesn't tell you to eat them in balance at the same time, because remember, when you eat them at the same time, you keep your body full longer. You balance your blood sugars that way. Ghrelin, leptin, also a hormone called glucagon, insulin. We balance those. When we eat in balance, you don't, because when you just eat the carbohydrate by itself, you ramp up the insulin. When you eat carbohydrates, fat, and proteins, the insulin does not ramp up. The insulin goes up a little bit, but also a hormone called glucagon gets turned on, and that's your fat burning hormone instead of insulin being your fat storing hormone, and you stay full longer because remember, Protein boosts your metabolism every time you eat it. Fat keeps you fuller longer, and they all do all those other amazing things for your body. So and then you stay full longer, so you're not craving and eating the garbage foods in between, right? And so there's less snacking. And then remember I said, when you can go longer in between your meals without grazing on those carbs and burning all that sugar off the top as a sugar burner, you go longer and you let your body use that fuel, right? Tune into your hunger. If you're not hungry, then don't eat. That's a real skill. That's what we work on in Muscles and Macros too, because you got to be able to understand your hunger, and are you hungry or are you not hungry? And if you can let yourself go until you get hungry for lunch, then your body's going to tap into your fat stores in between. You're not burning sugar off the top, okay? And that's why balancing macros is better than counting calories or simply blindly tracking your macros and eating whatever you want, whenever you want. It's about balancing your blood sugars, because fat loss is about building muscle, because muscle's going to ramp up as women, as runners, right? We want to be strong. We don't just want to be skinny. We want to be strong and healthy. That's much more important. If you want to just be, I'm not going to actually go there right now, that's a whole other conversation, but we want to be strong and healthy and fit and powerful and athletic and injury-free and burning fat. So we got to have muscle, and we got to balance those macros, because we want to, fat loss is about muscle, and it's about balancing your fat storing, your hunger, and your stress hormones, okay? So that's why it's more important and it's more effective to start with balancing. Most people will go to macros and they'll start tracking and they'll get out all the apps and they'll do all this stuff, and it's very difficult to really figure out what the exact numbers are. So, and most people are trying to do it themselves and not really doing it. People will try fasting, but they don't understand how to eat in that fasting window. They don't know how to eat pre and post run, so then they're running and they're fasted and then they're burning through their muscle, and that causes a whole host of other problems. I think that tracking can be awesome, but it's not a beginner level skill. Like, we have to master the basics of food first, the basics of restoring our metabolism and reducing our inflammation and tuning into our hunger and our emotional eating first. And when I did that and I started balancing and tuning into my hunger and looking at my emotional eating and drinking at night, which had nothing to do with tracking macros or numbers or calories, it was all emotional. When I got that stuff under control, I never had to worry about how many calories I was eating. I never had to worry about percentages or any of those numbers that give me anxiety and trigger disordered eating. I was able to rebalance my body, and I learned to tune in and work with my body. And when you slow down and you do that stuff, you never have to track or count, unless you want to go to like a fitness competition. Like, if I wanted to really get I love my body the way it is. I don't want to change it. I love it. It's healthy, it's strong, it's energized. I actually don't think I could feel any better. The aesthetic is not important to me. I could have more ripped abs, I could have more ripped arms, but I have come to an amazing place in my health, and my physical health and my emotional health, and this is where I like to be. I don't struggle with food. I don't struggle with binge eating. I don't struggle with hating my body. I love my workouts. I love my healthy food that I eat. I get hungry. Like, my inflammation is down. My hormones are balanced. My metabolism is powered up. And that's where I like to be. If I wanted to, I could now do some tracking, but tracking is a high-level skill. And yes, it works for some people, but for most people, it's way too advanced. And so you try it and it doesn't work. And if you have a history of disordered eating, if you have a history of a toxic relationship with food or your body or with exercise, tracking and counting is going to trigger that. It's going to make things worse rather than better. And remember I said, like, getting healthy and working with your body should leave you feeling really good, not broken down, not anxious, not stressed, not feeling like a truck hit you, okay? So that's why it's better. That's why I love it. That's why I teach it. That's why I created my 4-week Muscles and Macros training program specifically for female runners. That is why I hired a holistic nutritionist to help you dig in and dial in to your macros, to your emotions, to your hunger, so that you can build that lean muscle so that you can restore your metabolism by reducing your inflammation and getting your hormones in balance. And when you do that, it's a really beautiful thing. And through the program, because of the coaching and every day, I like that you guys check in so that I can read and help you work through things. We work to retrain your brain to make healthy choices, to get back up when you fall down, to love your body and work with your female physiology and not against it, to train strong and really understand the principles of how and why you want muscle, and why weight loss is not about simply cutting calories. It's about balancing your macros to balance your hormones. You've got to reduce that inflammation. I can't say this enough, you guys. I'm so passionate, and I'm really passionate about helping you guys eat enough and nourish enough with confidence in your body, without insane restrictions, without cutting out carbohydrates, without never having a glass of wine again. I mean, what happens in my group is people, they focus on this and they start to do it and they feel good and they're like, oh, well, on the weekend I decided to have some cake, because we work on making, planning ahead for your 80-20 is our rule, right? There's room for treats. They're like, well, this weekend is a birthday party, so I'm going to totally enjoy that piece of birthday cake. It's going to be awesome. And they have it, and then you're like, I felt terrible after. Like, I don't even want it anymore. And that's how healthy habits change and stick for the long term. That's how you create a lifestyle. That's how you get healthy for the long term. Because once you crowd out and you get your system back in balance and alignment, I mean, most people are vibrating at this level. You don't even know how good your body should feel. And I know because I used to vibrate here. Okay? Under eating, malnourished, training hard, eating clean, binge eating at night, right? Not eating all the macros. And I made changes, and I now vibrate up here. I feel incredible. The women who train with me are like, Carrie, I feel incredible. I have not felt this good for so long. My IBS symptoms are clearing up. My energy is through the roof. I don't have cravings or afternoon crashes. I sleep better. My skin, my back acne is clearing up. The things that people tell me about this program blow my mind, but they don't, because I know why it works. And a lot of, I feel sometimes I'm like, well, it's a 4-week program, but it can transform your life, because it's not anything crazy. It's just nourishing your body. Your body's calling for food. You've got to learn how to feed it and trust. And remember that under eating is going to downgrade your metabolism. It's going to ramp up your inflammation. Not eating is stressful on your body, and so your cortisol goes up. That messes up your insulin, your blood sugars. It creates hormonal havoc. And that causes fat storage. That takes your energy. That wreaks havoc on your skin and your reproductive system and your gut health. And when I can help you guys start to nourish your body confidently, knowing that you're doing this right, when I start to flip your brain from thinking, restrict, cut, lose weight, to nourish, fuel, build a fit, lean, strong, healthy, powerful, athletic, pro-fat burning body that feels incredible, change can happen really fast. Your body is going to suck up that food, suck up those nutrients that are in that food. And you can have some really drastic changes really quickly. And because it's not restrictive, people they're just like, okay, well, eating feels easy now. I can totally do this forever. And I'm like, I know. Now you've got time to focus on other things because you don't want to stress about your food. And when I used to work in healthcare, acute healthcare, joint replacement healthcare, I would see women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s still struggling with food. Still trying diets and trying to lose weight and hating on their bodies. Even women in their 90s with osteoporosis, that huge kyphosis over, right? They still were worried about weight loss and trying diets and cutting calories. And That breaks my heart. It broke my heart, even back then. When I didn't know what I know now, when I was under eating back then. And that's really, like, food is fuel, it's nourishment, it's good. I love food. My mom comes over, she still does the under eating, weighing and stuff. And she'll come over and say, Carrie, you eat so much. She's like, if I ate like you, I would be an elephant. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't if you were building muscle and you understood how to balance those macros. But she's not eaten enough for so long. She's a sweet, amazing woman, and I love my mom, and I wish I could get through to her too. Like, build lean muscle, balance those macros, think fitness and strength and health, not restriction, not weight loss. That's not what most people don't. They don't actually want weight loss. They want health and fitness and fat burning, and that's a very different, it's just a different plan. It's a different eating plan, it's a different training plan, it's a different way of thinking, okay? And that's my seminar today. That is what I want to talk about. Other things to think about, again, it's 80-20. You do not have to be perfect. I eat pizza. I also know when I eat pizza, the next day I'm inflamed, and my runs are really hard. But I still am allowed to eat pizza. Like, I don't cut pizza out because I like pizza. Like, I like to eat with my family. Oh, the other reason I don't like tracking food is because of my children. I forgot to mention that. I do not want my kids seeing me weighing food. My kids don't need to see that. My kids need to know what real food is, where it comes from. They need to know about home-cooked meals. They need to understand treats and nutrition. And my kids know about macros. They know where their energy comes from. They know, sorry, I'm getting messages already. Awesome. They know about food and energy and muscle building. They know. I don't want them to think they have to weigh food. I can't, I don't know how many of you got triggered, like disordered eating triggered from your moms. We need to break the cycle. We need to nourish our bodies and teach our kids that. Super passionate about that, you guys. Other things to think about, balance, 80-20, tune into your hunger, because once you understand how to balance those macros, and you understand why building muscle is so important, then it comes down to, okay, now I got to take action, and then we got to learn to tune into our hunger. Then we've got to learn to tune into our emotions, because when we're not physically hungry, but we're still stuffing in all the food, there's an emotional component that we need to deal with. That comes in the program. We will talk about that. I will help you through that. And we also need to be timing our nutrients properly around our intense workouts so that we optimize our training results for best muscle building. Okay, that's all stuff we deal with in muscles and macros. Just looking at my notes, see if I missed anything. I just want to remind you to, if you take anything away from this, remember that you're shifting your thoughts. Like, this tip alone can change your life. Honestly, people have said to me that it has. We've got to shift the narrative from eating less and restricting and cutting to food, looking at food as a way to fuel and nourish our bodies. It's not about eating less, it's about eating more of the right foods and the right balance for the right reasons, okay? Very powerful brain retraining, okay? And if that's hard, I tell my people to journal it every day, journal it every day, journal it every day. Today I will nourish my body. That alone can change your life. And if you're struggling with afternoon binging, you're struggling with nighttime nutrition, then you write that goal down in the afternoon. You write that goal down at night. You continue to remind yourself to nourish your body. And I'm intense about health. Like, I think that there's never been a more important time to take our health seriously. I'm 41, I'm getting older, and I think about my health a lot. And living a healthy lifestyle is more than just something that I say. It is something that I do and live and breathe and teach every day, because it matters. Those years that I spent working in acute care, so many of those problems could have been so prevented by taking control of your fitness, building lean muscle, dialing in your nutrition, and just living and choosing to be healthy. Not restrictive, not crazy, about this stuff, because when you're doing it and you learn how to do it and you start doing it and you get your body into balance, it gets easy and you don't have to think. Like, I don't think about my health. It's very simple. But I've retrained my brain, and I understand it very clearly what I should be doing. And this is where people need help. This is what I'm here to help you do. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you teach. I'm here to teach you, and then I'm here to support you on the implementation, because simply knowing is not enough. Only knowing plus taking action over time with consistency, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, is going to get you the results that you truly want. Some people love the program. That's all they need is the 4 weeks of implementation, because we help you understand those macros. We help you dial them in. We help you hit those macros. We're there to support you every day. We're there to help you when you fall off track and when you're struggling with something. Some people need more one-on-one, and we can offer you one-on-one support as well, okay? So what else can I say? Fat loss is all about nourishing your body, balancing your fat storing, stress and hunger hormones, building lean muscle so that you can, I've said this like a million times, but I'm going to keep saying it, because when we do those things, we get our hormones into balance, we reduce our inflammation, we build lean muscle, and we restore our metabolism. And a healthy body is a healthy metabolism. That's where we want to be, okay? So, who wants to become a fit, lean, strong, healthy, pro-fat burning woman? Not even a runner. Like, I just talk to you guys because I like running, and I know that runners really struggle with nutrition and they struggle with muscle building, and I just love helping runners. So who out there wants to do that? Do you guys want to build a fit, lean, strong, healthy, powerful, athletic, pro-fat burning runner? And when you do that, you feel incredible and you become injury proof, okay? Let me know. You know, the next round of Muscles and Macros will be starting soon. There is a round in session right now, and they are crushing it in week 2, already getting incredible results. And I think that the next round is going to be incredible. Every time I do this program, it gets better and better because I prep people better. You guys have been following me more, and you're like, when you go in, you're like, yes, I really want to do that. And why it's helpful is that I'm going to give you the muscle building workout training plan, 30-minute workouts, no equipment required. Anybody can do them at home, and they're awesome, and they're for runners, okay? We do core, we do body weight 30-minute hit, and we do 30-minute burst. You don't have to run. You can do it on a bike or something else, but that bursting is important. Talking about those workouts is a session I will do later on, coming up. You're going to get meal plans. Meal plans are awesome because they let you see what it looks like to eat in balance. The meal plans are macro balanced and they're low inflammatory, okay? Focusing on real, whole, nutrient-dense foods. And our holistic nutritionists put them together. And they're great. And they're not meant to follow. Meal plans, for me, aren't about you cooking and eating exactly what's on the plan. They're about showing you what a balanced day would look like. Like, because a lot of us don't know what a healthy, a balanced breakfast look like, what a balanced snack looks like, what a balanced lunch or dinner look like. Everyone's going to have their own unique intolerances and allergies and likes and dislikes, and our nutritionist can help you make those substitutions when you're in the program and help you with some of those things and how to adapt. If you want custom VIP one-on-one, she can put together an entire custom program for you. But generally, most people do really well with the group program, and they just adjust it as they need, because the goal is understanding what's on your plate. The goal is understanding what's protein, what's fat, what's carbohydrate. Am I getting them all? And then it's tuning into the hunger in between and dealing with the emotions of food, okay? But you get, the meal plans are very important. So you get meal plans, there's plant-based, and there's an omnivore option. We also give you guys a pre and post fueling strategy guide, and we're there to help you because the pre and post fueling is a little tricky depending when you work out, so we can help work you through that. That's where the coaching comes in. This is not just a take this download and do it, because there's a million downloads. I used to buy all kinds of them. You never do them. The only way to get results is to have somebody like kick your butt and hold you to it. So the program is like we start together and we work through it day by day. One of the recommendations of the program is you check in every day because we want to help you and support you. I've created that space to help you take action because knowledge is not enough. Knowledge plus action and support and expert coaching and community of a like-minded group will accelerate your results, okay? And the program is awesome. So I'm like obsessed with getting this program out because of the health results that it's getting for people. I'm taking women out of that under-eating, sugar-burning, sugar-craving, fat-storing, energy drained, inflamed, hormonally messy place. I'm teaching you guys what to do, and I'm helping you implement so that you can flip the switch and get into nourished, fueled, pro-fat burning, hormonally balanced to that place. And like that is just priceless. I used to be here and now I'm here. I will never go back here. I'll never go back here. And this is what I love to do for people. Take them from here to here. You don't even know how good your body is supposed to feel, how easy this is supposed to be, okay? And once you just master these skills, a little bit of coaching and a little bit of support, you just do it forever. And then you're just healthy and gonna live strong forever and be chasing those kids around and running with them and going on those epic adventures for a long time. Like I plan on being super healthy and super active for a long, long time. Things happen to healthy people, absolutely, but being strong, know that if something happens to me, I'll fight back. I will be so ready to fight back, okay? Lunchtime. I gotta get my kids lunch. You're right, it is totally time for lunch. Want to say hi?
Hi.
This is my Breck. Okay, I'll be right there. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll go through the comments and see how many questions I've got because they're not popping up on here for me. If you want to join the next round of Muscles on Macros, send me a message. Let's get you signed up. If you want to join the group or if you need a VIP custom option, let me know. We can talk about what is right for you and if this program is right for you. September there's never been a better time to do this. But you do have to be ready to put in the work. You do have to commit to the program. Those who commit to the program and do the learning and check in every day and do the work, who show up and be vulnerable and share the hard days, because it's not all going to be easy. It is a hard, it's not a hard program, but it is, like checking in every day. It's a lot. Sharing when you fall off track and asking for help is hard. But if you're willing to do that because the pain of staying where you are is just not worth it anymore and you are ready to up-level your health and get fit, lean, and strong and really dial in your nutrition for real without restricting, now is the absolute best time to do that. And everything is already in the program group. When you join, you get instant access and you can get started right away, but coaching starts on program start date. Okay, now we're gonna work through it together, all right? I'm gonna let you go because these kids are hungry and we can't let kids get hungry because my kids eat a macro balance as well, just the way I do. They don't know it, but they do. Ciao.